Okay, this is going to be our first video of the day. I want to be brief and to the point. They want to create a box for us known as conspiracy theorists. And see, there can be left-wing and right-wing conspiratorial worldviews, and there's a lot of people with that type of view. Hell, look at the mainstream media these days with Russiagate. So we do see a coordinated effort on the part of the machine to go after the small potatoes, left or right contrarian thinker, with mainstream left and right talking points being accepted. If only we can cross the left-right paradigm and actually deal with the real issues, but a lot of people still aren't at that level. They're still seeing red, or left versus right. Red from their own political stance, fighting stance. So let's discuss, as we walk today, right, the core dynamic, the core truth, because you need to be centered on what is your truth, what do we do as individuals, not what are we fighting against, not who are we arguing. There's been enough of that. We got to be outside the box of being labeled one specific thing. And there's going to be people that come along that don't understand the background, the things that we've talked about for years, but they're still going to put it in a box. Unfortunately, they use Alex Jones to demonize a number of key issues. A number of key issues. Now, despite the threat that we're facing, don't rush to someone else's defense when they wouldn't rush to your defense. When they have surrounded themselves with evil, sometimes things happen. There's also worse things to happen to an individual, like having your country invaded, than having your private platform and a private corporation taken down. There are worse things that happen to people all the time now, whether it be a real war or an information war or a psychic war, a war of the minds, of the spirits. These are times in which crappy things are happening to all different types of people. So it's a good time to keep your nose clean. Pick your shots. Understand, you nor I are Superman. We are mortal, and we're dealing with a lot of other crazy mortals that are seemingly activated by what could also be described as the paranormal. See, we have two different paths here. Now, actually, remember the last two times here. This is my third. So I named my show Outside the Box for a reason, and it's outside the box of conspiracy theory. It's outside of that paradigm. It's so far outside of that paradigm, even within the box of conspiracy theory, I never really did all that well. My hits, my views were never all that great. People wanted it to be dished out to them in their paradigm, all about Clinton, all about Soros, not the actual, and I can't even say it anymore, NWO. So when I said in a recent podcast, watching over my back for attacks from the left or the right, this is a great example of that, where they will misconfuse you as their political enemy if you're arguing against their BS. And there's BS on both the left and the right. But now we have to worry about YouTube putting other contrarian thinkers in the box. So we have to work to the best of our ability to not be so easily labeled and put in that box. And I was talking as far back as a year ago about the need to use different language to describe essentially what is the same thing. What is another way to say NWO, or what is another way to say conspiracy, or what is another way to describe corruption? You see, because the actual issues that are important to us all, they're not going to go away. And if you look closely at the media, while you may not agree with the mainstream media, they have their own acceptance, if you will, of conspiratorial thought. They're using it to their agenda. There's also a low level of intelligence in our world. So sometimes it is a conspiracy when the journalists are trying to link Alex Jones to various theories to demonize them. Sometimes it's just automatic because they're not very intelligent and they're not able themselves to see the difference between questioning 911 and demonizing all immigrants. They're not compatible belief systems. They go in opposite directions that can actually lead to a crazy society or crazy audience members, those that consume that type of content. And so the media has an opportunity to describe and talk about Alex Jones as controlled opposition from forces perhaps no one understands. It doesn't mean that they need to know who it is, but they're not even asking the healthy questions. So when they're not even accurately informing us, and others are being misinformed, and they're calling it censorship when it's actually him losing his platform on social media, we shouldn't get caught up in other people's fears, because we have our own, and we have our own battles to fight. So don't fight the battles of others, especially when those others could be people that mean you harm. Something I wrote on social media to start the day. It's like, you can have gas in the car, a good looking car, but if you still got a flat tire, you're not going to be able to get up on that highway up at that speed. It's like, we can have a flat tire metaphorically in our own life, and we got to take care of that before we can get back on the highway of life, despite all the energy and spirit that we may have. And we could be repeatedly getting a flat tire by helping the wrong people, people that are backstabbing us. We could be depleting our energy. So right now, we need to be careful about depleting our energy, and we need to provide for ourselves, take care of ourselves, be able to differentiate the real truth movement and go outside the box of conspiracy labels, but the true human movement, the true freedom movement. There's a real version of that, and there's a false version of that we're being sold. A lot of people out there don't have the discernment. They may look at a headline and go, that's fake news, because they may interpret that headline to be something that is coming after their guns. But they could look at another headline and believe everything that they're being told without questioning some of the most basic facts, including why a story that originally allegedly had some facts was conveniently turned into a fake news headline. So the situation that we're looking at is the story that has come out of New Mexico. Rural New Mexico, north of Taos, in fact, that would be south of Costilla County, Colorado. They say that Muslim extremists were planning a school shooting. Of course, you can imagine how this would affect my nerves or my mood, being that it's the American Southwest and we have a story about Muslim extremists. Of course, I question a lot of what we're told, although that's considered blasphemy now, right? But it's at the front page of Infowars.com. Check it out and see how time this is to go along with the banning of Alex Jones off of YouTube. And what was one of the four things that he was discussing in that roster of podcasts that were deleted. Muslim invasion, migrant invasion. Even one article was on his website, still is. David Icke reposted it, then took it down, alleging that the U.S. is going to be flooded with 600 million migrants. See, and this is the type of psychosis that can lead some people to take action into their own hands. So you could say that I'm on a power walk this morning because I'm in this state of consciousness now as we approach this eclipse in the next 24 hours. I'm going to make a lot of videos and stay offline and tap into this spirit of power. We've got to be powerful spiritually because we are threatened with these fearful things. And we are programmed to be in a state of fear. Then we have a weaker energetic field. And we'll be discussing meditation in another video to be recorded later today. So I'm not going to let this put me in a state of fear. But just by knowing that someone saw it and thought of me, even if they thought it was a psyops, this is a country that is looking for something to happen involving Muslims. It is looking, it is waiting. It is saying over and over and over, it's not a matter of if, it's when. And some that are on the pro-Alex Jones side might say, and now Alex Jones has been removed conveniently from the internet, along with conspiracy theories being heavily demonized, so no one will step forward to challenge the narratives that are already out there. So allegedly, they caught some Muslim extremists that were planning to do something. They found a body of one of their children as well, and it was off the grid. Oh, we have a cow over here. Wow. Someone took the official story and twisted it and said that it was a child sex camp and that That's not the truth. That wasn't in the story. And so there's other things that have me concerned, but I'm going to end that point there and highlight that these are signs of current challenges that we're facing. And we had a special guest appearance here in this on-demand video from our friend over here. Simple advice as we go into the partial eclipse. First of all, look at world events. And then also look at your own emotions. This goes for whether it's a full moon, whatever type of moon, going into a new moon, happening during a solar flare. There's going to be things like that that may rile up our own emotions and try to get us moving. Those are going to be times like times that we're in right now, where there's a lot happening in the world, a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, especially for those of us that have YouTube channels that can be put into a particular box. Doesn't matter whether you like AJ or not, the things that are happening on YouTube have created a lot of fear for those of us that have dedicated our lives to the truth. Even if we all don't agree on what that truth is, that contrarian, conspiratorial truth. So, here I am in nature as we kind of get closer to that which is natural. Away from the machine, away from the internet, away from the headlines, away from the commentary, away from even things that are happening to other people at the moment, other people's dramas, other people's fears. We got to deal with our fears, our dramas, and there's other people with theirs trying to throw their stuff at us to give us their mind. Keep your mind. Now, what I'm doing, living an off-the-grid way of life, while making videos is something unique to the off-grid way of life. Usually people don't do that. Some would even consider that very in the grid, but I'm not living in a city. So life that I've picked isn't easy, and I'm identifying those topics that I should continue to discuss, but not here. In less than 5 minutes, I want to review some of the basics of psychic protection. And if you can't protect your mind, how could you as a warrior protect your tribe? We have to prevent the weakening from within, because that's often what happens. So being grounded, and we have people over here fishing, completing the thought here. So getting out in raw nature is a great way to recenter. And there's a reason why the natural energy of the trees, especially the air that we breathe, is something that can help pull us out of a funk. So things like dirty rooms and things like having garbage around, or garbage people, or having the internet on, those are things to step away from. Literally stepping away from a certain environment. That's why traveling can be therapeutic, but it can also be something that can be draining too. Traveling can be draining if someone doesn't have their armor up. There is something known as energy. Well, it deals with the distribution of energy. And so if someone isn't grounded or have their shields up, certain environments can start draining them. That's how I've been describing cities and places like that. So going out in nature has the benefit of giving someone a totally different environment, to where a few hours in that environment, whether it be exercising, camping, fishing, it's pulling them away from that other influence. Now, let's say that you're stuck in the city and you're dealing with something like psychic attack. If you have the ability to get a shower, of course, or get near water, that may be something that you may want to look into. It's also said that spirits, who knows how many spirits can hear me now, but they become stuck in certain areas because they can't travel over water, that they have like literally somebody that they're attached to, or something to that effect. This is from the book by Robert Bruce. So knowing that, and knowing about the healing effect of underground streams and other springs, things of that nature, something to keep in mind, even if you can't get out of the city, finding nature within the city, running water, or there's a reason why I think some of those units may have sold really well over the last couple of decades, especially at the turn of the century. The electric running water type devices, maybe there was actually another reason why people were buying so many of those during a period in which we've gone through a lot of spiritual attack on this planet. But being able to ground to the center of the earth through the power of the mind, picture yourself at like 10th and Burnside, and all that negative energy, or we call it negative, that unnatural energy that's not theirs. Picture that if you were that person, surrounded by a bubble with all that unnatural energy bouncing back. So in the same way that our planet has a protective bubble around it, we too, especially with certain actions, living a healthy way of life, we too need to maintain a protective bubble. So there's certain factors that contribute to a stronger or weaker bubble or field around the earth. And it's the same thing for us. All right? So when people talk about people in the media being agents of the system, they're really more so agents of the matrix, more so than agents of the government. Kind of like how I tell you that some people could be spiritually attacked by entities while thinking that they're being gang stalked by government officials. So certain people out there haven't been an asset to the creator, they've been an asset to the dark side. Now once you consciously go on that path, somebody can think that they're still good. Their discernment's gone. Once you start going down a road of deception and corruption like a virus, it'll absorb that person, right? We might be thinking of a particular talk show host who's been absorbed by the infection. Just like somebody in their own mind can think that they're doing God's work or that God is talking to them. Well, the truth is maybe something is talking to them. How do we know it's God? So, psychic impressions alone is not a sign of an evolved soul. And that's something it needs to be brought up. Because this civilization or society is still in its infancy, and it is still mesmerized by the beautiful objects, pretty people and things that are capitalizing on some gifts that they have, while not truly exercising, developing, or exploring their gifts. For example, discussing what's really happening within the human species today. It may not be a pretty future in all respects, but we need to discuss the future from different perspectives. And we need to have a meditative calmness, a psychic protection, if you will, a level where we can protect our psyche from those inner impulses that tell us, don't look at this, this is evil. And one of the things that happens to a lot of my viewers from time to time, or people that I meet, they'll get a negative sensation when they come across some of my ideas or about myself. And they may not know that that's an implant. That is part of the programming at this point. And the matrix is no stranger to me, nor I to it. So are there people that I meet in this matrix that almost have a pre-programmed prejudice against the ideas themselves, or perhaps something else? And the answer is yes. So I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, but I am speaking to souls that are at a level of advancement, as well as souls that seem to be at an early level of knowledge. So early that they don't yet respect the unique insights that they're given or the tips on protecting themselves from the harmful, malevolent, spiritual forces that are out there. Instead of looking to be rescued by an angel of the light, why not let us choose to seek to be an asset of the Creator, an angel in our own right, coming to the aid of others that are victimized, shining the light on issues that are normally buried or censored or covered up, but literally being that conscious conduit, being that hope of light in this universe and in this world. That's the role that we're here to play. And that's the video that I'm here to record here. So this is a time where a lot of us are contemplating if there's content that we need to delete off our YouTube channel. Finding the allies that I need in this part of America. I lean on the universe. I trust in the universe. Living where I live now. One thing I'm meditating on is that while they may have made it unpopular to talk about certain things that are put into the box, whether it be 9/11 or other conspiracy theories, I am outside of all those boxes. Sure, it feels like a part of my identity is under attack, only if I allow it. Only if we allow ourselves to be put into the boxes that they are attacking can we be vulnerable. We can morph and change direction, go deeper into something beyond that which is flagged. Bring attention to something anew. As I get up the hill, as I complete today's hike, I want to talk about how we shouldn't defend Alex Jones because he is in bed with the tech giants and they're probably covering up their tracks. It doesn't look good for them to leave him on their platforms. I've always felt that they've promoted him, that he's had an artificial rise. You know, his ex-wife agrees with me. So there's a lot of evidence to suggest that that's the case, that they're covering up their tracks. Maybe there won't be a purge of everyone with a contrarian thought. That's another thing for us to fear. We have enough to fear. I've been saying in other videos we need to go outside the box of using some of the same code words, and especially the Alex Jones influence. You could even say that there's a place for deprogramming from Alex Jones, like real mental health treatment. And someone can be a contrarian or someone that believes in various conspiracy realities. But it's time to upgrade our consciousness. It's time to grow the percentage of the brain that we're using. The same things that allowed Alex to become big in the beginning, access television and being able to sell your own documentary films and market them, those things are still around. It's social media that supposedly has thrown Alex Jones under the bus. But I remind you, only after they did so much for him in content like his, and it wasn't by accident, so they're covering their tracks. We still have a free internet. We still have free speech. There is still infinite possibility to a certain degree, one might say. So what's changed? Why should we allow ourselves to be victimized, even in our own mind, because of what's happening to him and because of the potential? What about all those other people out there that lost their channels or were demonetized or had their content deleted or hacked into? Does anybody speak for them? Does anybody remember them? Why Alex Jones? It's about hierarchy. Because he's already bigger than life, they come to his defense when he's not really defensible or worth defending. You see, we live in a day and age where people have deleted my own podcasts, like Oracle Broadcasting. Did anybody say that they stepped on my free speech by deleting my content? No one said a thing. To date, no one ever wrote a blog about it. No one ever cared. So, did it ever happen? Did it ever happen? It happened. It happened. It happened. It happened. It happened. And it wasn't the end of the world. It was a personal thing, and they didn't like me or my content, and they deleted it. And I moved on with my life. More content went on YouTube than private websites run by a few guys that were supposedly part of the truth movement. So things happen between people, folks, and it's private property. You also see more people speaking ill of me in some cases than positive. People can do whatever they want on their websites to a certain degree. There are some restrictions, I guess. But who knows what the future will be of the internet with Alex Jones, the false flag. So what I'm getting at is that I can't say, hey, Alex Answering needs to get a shout out on your webpage, on your social media platform. Sure, they're open to the public, but it's not a government utility. Facebook, YouTube, and it's not defending them, it's the friggin' fact. And it's the fact that people have already deleted my content in other circumstances as well. Sometimes it wasn't personal, it was technical, and I didn't get the memo to move the stuff off the servers. Things like this happen. That's why you need to have your content backed up. Last time I backed up my content was June of 2018. So I have a backup no matter what happens. So I just want to make that clear. Plenty of times I've wanted to be mentioned on certain websites or have my content reposted or shared on certain websites, and my peers in the alternative media would never do it. They steered away from Alex Answering content. And a lot of people still do now. So there's hypocrisy when they have the free speech to treat my content as if it's dirt. Then why do they act surprised when the big tech giants do it, even after they're insulted by Alex Jones or threatened, screamed at, accused of being in with the jihadis and every other name under the book, when all they've done is help Alex Jones reach #1. All they've ever done is help Alex Jones reach #1. Now they're covering their tracks. Don't waste your time or breath defending Alex Jones. He's not us, and we're not him. Sure, they can use Alex Jones to demonize content on my own channel, and that's going to happen. But what is the overall end result going to be?